All right, let's jump right in. When we talk about God, we hear a lot about the Father and about the Son, Jesus. But there's this third person of the Trinity that can feel a little, well, mysterious, maybe even a bit confusing, the Holy Spirit. So in this explainer, we're going to unpack who the Spirit is and what the Spirit does, all according to the biblical story.
First things first, let's talk about what the Holy Spirit is not. Is it some kind of, a ghost or maybe an impersonal energy field, kind of like the Force in Star Wars? You'll often hear the Spirit referred to as an it, which, let's be honest, kind of makes sense. It's hard to relate to an invisible spirit. But the biblical writers are super clear. Thinking that way misses the point entirely. So, here's the core definition we need to start with. The Holy Spirit isn't a thing, but a person, the third co-equal person of the Trinity. That means the Spirit is fully and completely God, right alongside the Father and the Son. Not an it, but a he, a divine being with a mind, a will, and personal characteristics. Okay, with that foundation laid, let's trace the Spirit's story from the beginning.
And our journey starts exactly where you'd expect. Page 1 of the Bible, at the very dawn of creation.
The Bible's opening scene is pretty dramatic. It describes the world as this dark, disorderly, chaotic mess. But then you get this incredible image. God's Spirit is hovering. The original Hebrew word is like a bird, fluttering, over all that chaos. It's this beautiful picture of potential and power. The Spirit is the life-giving presence of God, ready to bring order and beauty and life out of all that cosmic mess.
After that initial act of creation, the way the Spirit works through the Old Testament is really fascinating. You see, the Spirit would come upon specific people. Think of leaders like Joshua or kings like David, to empower them for very specific tasks. It was kind of a selective, sometimes temporary empowerment. But then, the prophets started looking forward to a different future, a time when God's Spirit wouldn't just be for a select few, but would be poured out on all of God's people.
And that incredible promise, that a whole new era of the Spirit's work was coming, finds its ultimate turning point in the person of Jesus. Hey, remember that hovering bird imagery from creation? Well, guess what? We see it again right here at Jesus' baptism. The Spirit comes down and rests on him, empowering him for his mission. And the writers frame this as the beginning of a new creation. Just like the Spirit brought life from chaos in the beginning, the Spirit is now working through Jesus to bring new life and restoration to our broken world. Now, this is absolutely crucial. Jesus made it crystal clear that this empowering presence wasn't going to stop with him. He promised his followers another comforter or helper. And that word another in the original language means another of the same kind. He was their first helper, and now the Spirit would be their second, continuing his work. And this is a huge deal. The Spirit would never leave them.
So Jesus makes this incredible promise. But it wasn't just a nice idea. Let's look at how it was fulfilled in this incredibly dramatic, world-changing event.
This event is called Pentecost. So, after Jesus ascended to the Father, his followers did exactly what he told them to do. They waited. And then, it happened. The promise was fulfilled. The Spirit arrived with the sound of a violent rushing wind and the sight of what looked like tongues of fire that rested on each person there. And the result? An immediate, radical transformation. They were empowered to speak and act with a boldness they had never known before.
And if you want a sense of just how central the Spirit became after that moment, get this. In just the first 12 chapters of the book of Acts, the book that tells the story of the early church, the Holy Spirit is mentioned 40 times. The Spirit goes from being a background character to the main actor, guiding and empowering this entire new movement. Okay, so that's the big picture historical story. But what does the Spirit actually do inside a person today? This is where the whole idea of the Spirit's work gets deeply personal. We're talking about a transformation of a person's character. The Apostle Paul draws this incredibly sharp contrast for us. On one side, he lists what he calls the acts of the sinful nature. This is the kind of stuff that comes from a life lived out of sync with God. But on the other side, he shows the result of the Holy Spirit's presence in a person's life. And the point isn't about just trying harder to be a good person. It's about the Spirit actually producing a whole new kind of character from the inside out. So what does this new character look like? Paul gives us this list of 9 amazing qualities. But here's the key insight that people often miss. He calls it the fruit, singular, of the Spirit. The idea is that this is one single fruit that has 9 different flavors or characteristics. They're all meant to grow together, as a whole, creating a character that looks more and more like Jesus himself. So there's that deep internal character transformation. But that's not the whole story. The Spirit also empowers believers for their external work, for serving other people in real, tangible ways. These are often called spiritual gifts. Now, it's really important to distinguish these from just natural talents. These are described as supernatural enablements that are given by the Spirit to believers. The lists you find in the New Testament probably aren't exhaustive, but they give us this amazing picture of all the different ways the Spirit can empower people.
But what are they for? The why behind these gifts is absolutely critical, and the sources are completely united on this. They are not for personal status or to make you look good, or for any kind of private benefit. They are given for the common good, to build up, to strengthen, and to care for the entire community. Every single gift has a purpose that points away from you and towards others.
So think about the journey we've just taken. We've traced the Spirit's work from hovering over the chaotic waters of creation, to empowering Jesus to begin a new creation, to filling believers at Pentecost, to producing Christ-like character and empowering them for service. This brings us to a final big thought. If the Spirit's ultimate work is all about new creation, what does that look like in our lives and in our world today?